All right, good evening, everybody. My name's Aidan, and I'm going to be kicking us off tonight in proud association with Showcode and the Varsity Code competition. It's Lloyds Banking Group here tonight to present to you the Lloyds Banking Group Software Engineering Graduate Q&A and question and answer panel. Q&A panel, I guess. So tonight I'll be introducing a few people, and my colleagues Justin and Joe and Brian will also be supporting. Well, actually, they'll be doing most of that real work. So just to give you a bit of framing as to what's going on today. We are really proud sponsors of the Varsity Code competition. I'm sure that's why you're here. If not, you should check it out. And it's a massive thank you to everyone who's signed up or participating, whether you're here with us live or whether you're watching this at home later. Now, what's coming up in the next hour is we're going to be hearing from Joe Normanton, part of our workforce capability team. Joe's a future skills manager who's been working on developing the software engineering graduate scheme here at Lloyds. And Joe works alongside our graduates to make sure they have a great experience. I'll tell you a little bit more about Joe in a moment and get her to tell you her story. Then Justin and our graduates will be talking about some of their experiences, some of the things they've learned and what it's been like on the journey over the last year as they join Lloyds Banking Group at a very interesting time, and the experience that they've had. We'll also be taking the questions of any attendees or participants who want to throw them out to us. So we'll put those to the audience, see what they think. Sorry, we'll take questions from the audience, put them to the panel and see how we can answer them. We also will answer any other questions on Discord, where we've been engaging with you for the last week or so. So without any further ado, I think it's time for me to introduce Joe. Here we are. So I'll give you a bit of background. Joe's been with the group for 24 years, I believe, and she works as a future skills manager in our workforce capability team. And she has a great deal of insight as to how the graduate programs work, how people join the group, and how we're trying to change Lloyds Banking Group, particularly moving towards the bank of the future as a technology and engineering-led organisation by bringing in more great talent into that space. I hope you caught all of that. Joe, over to you.
Thank you, Aidan, much appreciated. So yeah, that was an introduction. I didn't realise you were going to put my 24 years in there, but I have done lots of different roles within that, specialised in learning development, project management, and now all things graduate apprenticeship and in industrial placement. So absolutely loving my time in Lloyds, as you can tell by the duration. So I'm really looking forward to covering off a few things really over the next few minutes, and then we'll head over to the panel. And I can't wait personally to hear how the panel are getting on, because I think they've been in the organisation 8-9 weeks now, so it's going to be really good to get their insights as to how they've felt joining, and very early days, which is absolutely brilliant. So there's 3 things I'm going to cover today with you, which is what schemes we have in Lloyds Banking Group, how you can apply, and what hints and tips have we got on the way, because I'm conscious that we're talking a lot about graduates today, but I do want to give you kind of the wider view of how we bring in talent into our organisation, because there is 3 distinct buckets, as it were, and I'm going to talk about each of them independently, because I suppose it depends on where you are in this journey. You could be a graduate finishing your degree, therefore you're looking for opportunities. You could be in year 2 of your degree and starting to look for industrial placements, or you could indeed be doing something completely different and actually want to get into more of a tech role, but you've got limited, degree qualifications. Therefore, actually, an apprenticeship scheme could be another vehicle for you. So I just want to cover off those 3 areas so that you have a really good view of how we are kind of, well, like I said on the slide there, changing the future of the bank through these different 3 schemes. If you could pop on to the next slide, that'd be awesome. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the wider kind of careers site that we do have, and hopefully you've engaged with it. If not, I think in the chat we're going to start popping some links in there so you can have a look after this call. But if you go onto our careers site, it will bring up a lot of information right at your fingertips, ready for you to review and peruse as you see fit, and start to look at the different case studies, the different information we have got in here, which can kind of enlighten what I'm talking about today. So if you want to pop on to the next slide, please. So in our early careers hub, we've got lots of information. I think it's really important you understand kind of how our organisation ticks. And really this early careers hub, it gives you a real good view of what are the different schemes and things we've got available, but also kind of what it feels like to work in Lloyds Banking Group, what things are important to us. We've got lots of information on here around kind of what we do in the LGBTQ plus space. We've got lots of information in here about how we operate from a sustainability point of view, and we've got a real good view of how we operate from a values and behaviours. So I think it's really important that when you're connecting with our organisation to understand kind of what underpins it, because all our programmes fit nicely into that. So the Early Careers Hub, I definitely recommend you have a look at that. As we head on further into the site, it brings you on to kind of which schemes are available. So I'm just going to run off a few, those 3 buckets we talked about earlier on. We have actually got an industrial placement scheme open, available for you to apply if that's something you're interested in. And as you go into the site, you'll see that you can apply. But also what's in there is information about how our schemes operate and various case studies as well. So our industrial placements programs generally start around June time and they finish the following June. It's a 12-month placement in our organisation in an engineering team, and we've had so much success we're actually doubling our cohort size for next year, so it's a really awesome time to apply. For industrial placement programs, you don't just get to do basic things. You are in the middle of a value stream. You're adding value to our organisation. You're designing, you're developing things, and you're putting things live. So hopefully the colleagues on the industrial placement currently would definitely give that view if they're on the call today. But it's a great chance to kind of try before you buy in our organisation and have a go at doing an industrial placement. And what we have found, certainly with the cohort this year of the 15 graduates we've brought in, and obviously some are on the phone, is that if you do an industrial placement, it really does add value to kind of your graduate, postgraduate experience, if you want to further that in terms of a graduate scheme, because it gives you a chance to put to practice everything you're learning at university in a real life environment, so that you've got that experience under your belt when you're thinking about what is next for you. So industrial placements are a great thing to connect with. If you want to move to the next slide, please. So our graduate schemes, obviously we're going to focus a lot on graduate schemes today, but again, in this graduate site, you've got lots of information, and there's something called a Feel Good Fest, which is really kind of a virtual way of exploring our organisation to find out more about what our key priorities are. But also in here as well, we've got a real good site called Find Your Path on the right hand side there. So Find Your Path is where sometimes you may not know where you want to go next. So actually Find Your Path is a really good tool to key in some basic information, and it will kind of like direct you to different schemes we've got available that you may find interesting. So if you're not sure what you want to do, obviously hopefully it's an engineering graduate scheme you're interested in today, because that's predominantly what we're talking about. But there is also other options as well. So Finding Your Path section within this is a really good way of understanding what we're offering as an organisation and which one you kind of connect to the most. So in here as well, the applications are open. So applications are open for our next engineering graduate scheme, which kicks off next September. But the process starts now, and there's a few different assessments you will do for this, and then we end up with an assessment centre. So it's a little bit of a process, but it's worthwhile, and I'm sure the guys will be going through that with you today. But obviously it's got a really good salary on there, locations across the UK, and throughout the scheme, throughout the 2 years when you're on our scheme, you'll be doing lots of qualifications and building your skill set that you've left the university with into our organisation. So that's where the focus is going to be today, but applications are open. If you want to move to the next slide, please, I want to touch on apprenticeship schemes. So apprenticeship schemes is something that not a lot of people know about, and we're going to be putting another 50 to 60 jobs on the board before the end of the year. So please, if you do look at this today, reconnect with it in another few weeks, because there's going to be some more jobs going on the board. But apprenticeship schemes in our organisation are a really good way if you are doing something where, for example, you may be on an arts degree. I'm using this as an example. You may be on an arts degree, think I want to get into a tech role, but actually your arts degree doesn't lend itself well to the graduate scheme. or that you don't have the experience under your belt to feel confident applying for a graduate scheme, then actually an apprenticeship scheme is a really good foot in the door to our organisation, because what we do is we develop you over anywhere between 2 years and 4 years, depending on what scheme you're on. But we take you from zero to hero when it comes to apprenticeship schemes. So that's the idea with an apprenticeship scheme. You come in with limited information, we help upskill you, we put you into a team where you can build and develop those skills, and you become a proficient, engineer, data analyst, business analyst, you name it. We've got lots of different roles in this space as well. So apprenticeship schemes are a really good vehicle to get into our organisation as well. And in this particular site, there's lots of case studies as well and frequently asked questions. And like I said, there's more jobs going on the board soon. So I think there's a couple of schemes available at the moment, but there's probably going to be a lot more in the next 2 weeks. So I definitely recommend you reconnect with that page if that's something you are interested in. If you could pop to the next slide, please. So that's it for my little whistle-stop tour through kind of what opportunities are available. And I'm really looking forward to hearing from the current graduates that we've got on the call today to really help bring to life kind of what it feels like to be on our schemes. Because whilst we do have lots of options, it's really important that you kind of hear from the firsthand how it feels to be on this particular scheme. Any questions, please pop them in the chat, and as we go through the panel, I'll try and answer as many as I can. But I hopefully that's been really interesting for you, and I'll hand over back to Aidan.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jo. It's a brilliant way to learn about the graduate program, going to our online portals, but an even better way to learn about the graduate program is to hear it from the graduates themselves. So Justin is going to be taking over from me now. He's going to introduce our graduates. We'll take questions in the chat, but we've also got a number of questions prepared for them. The questions are prepared, the answers are not. Justin, it's over to you.
Cool, thank you, Aidan. Yeah, and just a reminder again, any questions post them in the chat and we'll get to them in a dedicated session. So yeah, I'm delighted to be hosting the Q&A session with the grads today. So welcome Daniel, Rosemary, Jenny, Serena and Ruffy. I know you're very new to the organisation, 8 or 9 weeks in, so it's over the next 15-20 minutes, it'll be great to hear your experiences and what attracted you to the group in the first place. So that's great. So just like to give you a bit of a chance to introduce yourselves and your backgrounds, and if you've got an interesting fact about yourselves as well, that would be great. So great. Shall we go to Daniel first?
Yeah. Hi. I see the picture had longer hair, so just maybe a couple of months ago. But yeah, my name's Daniel, and I just recently joined at Lloyds. My team that I'm currently working in is the Centre of Excellence for Software Engineering, and I did computer science when I was at the University of Southampton. I guess an interesting fact about me would probably be that while I was at Southampton, my friends and I won like an algorithmic trading competition, and so we managed to win a little bit of money through that. So it was quite a fun competition to do. Yeah. So.
Cool. Thanks, Daniel. Jenny. Hi.
Hi, I'm Jenny. I went to the University of Leeds and I studied aeronautical and aerospace engineering. I did an industrial placement at Airbus as an aerodynamicist, and then that's when I kind of got into Python and coding and decided to change career direction. I'm currently in the core platforms team within the retail lab, so we usually work with like fraud and disputes kind of stuff.
Cool, and on to Ruffy.
Hey guys, I'm Ruffy. I'm from the University of York. I'm not as moody as I look in that picture as well. So I'm also on the Discord as well. So if you have any questions following this, feel free to @ me in the Showcode Discord. Yeah, as I said, went to the University of York, did a computer science degree, and I've got a background in web development. So React, React Native, Angular, and a bit of cloud technologies as well. I've recently joined Lloyds Banking Group, and I joined the Devops Centre of Excellence. So we sort of go into teams and consult and help them sort of with their development journey. Interesting fact, I was in Sky Sports for winning an award for an esports event I ran. So yeah, thank you.
Oh, wow. Cool. And on to Rosemary.
Hi. So I'm Rosemary. You can call me Rose, shorter, faster. I'm part of Cloud Center of Excellence, and just joined Lloyds recently with all the others. Interesting fact about me, I don't come from a tech background. I come from a very different industry. I come from design and marketing, and then I did my master's in innovation entrepreneurship, which is not relevant to anything related to what I'm doing here. I got into coding because of full stack developer bootcamp that I did in parallel of my master's. So it got me kicking into tech, and I'm very happy to be here. Yeah, thanks.
Excellent, and I'm glad to have you too. And last but no means least, Serena, welcome.
Hi everyone, I'm Serena. I also come from a non-tech background like Rosie. I studied social sciences at UCL. I actually got into it as a bit more of a hobby, and it really developed over lockdown. Loved it, applied, and I'd really recommend anyone who's from a non-tech background definitely consider it. It's been a really good journey so far. I've joined the Centre of Excellence, much like Dan. What that basically means is we're just trying to improve the quality of code at Lloyds and helping engineers connect with each other so we can share our code more. It's been a really fulfilling job, really loving it. The interesting fact about me, I'm a Pokemon professor, which is a pretty fun thing. I actually had to pass an exam. I can officially put that on my LinkedIn now. And it's probably the most proud sixth grade achievement and best exam I've ever passed. So very happy about that. So I'll pass back over to Justin.
Brilliant, thank you. So great. So it's great to have you all on board today. So I'm going to go through a series of questions with you, and the first few that we're going to go through are going to be like to individuals or one or two of you at a time, and then we'll go to some more like kind of group kind of discussions a bit later on. So the first question is for Ruffy and Serena. So obviously you went through the process of applying for Lloyds Banking Group, I guess, last year. So can you just tell us what actually attracted you to applying for the software engineering grad scheme here at Lloyds? And shall we go to Ruffy first?
Yeah. Hi. So one of the main things that sort of swayed me is I did an industrial placement during my course, similar to Jenny. So what I wanted to do, for my graduate position, I wanted to go into a sort of a big tech company. I wanted to sort of have that feeling of sort of security, and that's one of the reasons why I applied to Lloyds. They look after their sort of the programmers, developers. And one of the main reasons why I applied was the sort of core values that Lloyds have. Like, as part of the application process, I'm sure you all will sort of do your own research into them, get really familiar with them. But they really resonated with me, and I just sort of really, I was hooked. Well, what about you, Serena?
I've said we've all been on your side of shoes not too long ago. And it's really hard when you're on that side going, they're all grad schemes, right? They all look the same. They're all at bank. You get all the same benefits and training and rotations. I get it. But I think actually Lloyds does offer some pretty unique things compared to some of the other graduate schemes. And that's what really appealed to me and ultimately why I accepted it. The first thing is the technical focus. A lot of the other grad schemes out there are very much just technology, and you're just sort of doing either a bit of research. I didn't know if I'd actually get all the technical development I wanted. I didn't know if I'd be just stuck on a research technical road. And I really wanted to get my hands dirty. I actually wanted to program. So coming into a software engineering scheme, I've actually been able to actively do some coding. I've actually got technical training. I've been able to, instead, get my hands dirty. I really enjoyed that aspect. The second thing I really liked is the fact they're so open to different backgrounds. So if you're from a non-STEM background, yeah, definitely consider applying. They're very open. I felt really valued for my different perspective I bring, and not that it's a hindrance. I felt like I really added value to the team that way. If you're from a tech background, I would say it just shows it's a sign of really good diversity. You're going to meet people with different points of view. I've learned so much from Rosie. I've learned so much from the more STEM side background, from people from that way. It's just better. I've learned so much about so many different things, and it makes it a really good environment to work in. And finally, I actually really like the fact it was really UK focused. If you've read the website, you know a lot of the placements are in the UK. But for me, it makes it a bit more real than a multinational company. When I think about the customers I'm trying to help, I'm thinking about actually people like me or my neighbours or my family. It's a bit easier to just think about, who am I trying to help here? who am I trying to work for and ultimately make their lives better? It's people I can actually imagine. So overall, yeah, the technical focus, open to a variety of backgrounds, and actually being a UK focus were really strong elements for me on why I applied. And yeah, thanks for asking the good question, Justin.
Brilliant, no, great, and it's great to hear, and hopefully it encourages people on the call today to consider Lloyds Banking Group and applying for our scheme. So yeah, take a look at some of the links that have hopefully been dropped into the chat. So yeah, moving on to now that you're actually, a few of you are actually, well, you are all in Lloyds Banking Group, obviously joined 8-9 weeks ago. So I'm going to push this one towards Daniel and Jenny. So how have you found your time so far, and the initial weeks, and how's it all been really? And I'll go to Daniel. Sorry.
Yeah, so like you said, Justin, we've only been here for 8 or 9 weeks, and it's been better than expected, way better than expected, to be honest. They've really, especially in the first few weeks, it was more about getting settled with your team. The focus was on being able to speak to as many people as possible, network, the focus on contribution to actual code and sort of programming was said. They said, take your time with that, like learn as much as you can before you really jump in sort of the deep end. But only 9 weeks in, and today I was really working with my manager trying to solve a real problem, which is probably one of the first times that we've solved this problem in the bank with SSL networking, one of the issues that we were having. So you can see that even 9 weeks in, we've really managed to contribute something new, which is actually going to help to a bunch of new teams. So like I said, the first 4 or 5 weeks were mainly about getting to know your team, getting to know your grads, really trying to communicate with the other people and really feel like you're actually part of Lloyds, because that's probably one of the scariest things coming in, especially with it starting online, especially because of this year, because of COVID. It was one of those things where I felt a little bit of fear coming in, but they really eased me into it. They really helped me feel part of the team, welcome, and yeah, now finally really getting my hands dirty and stuck in, like Serena was saying. So loving all aspects of it.
Great. It's good to hear you getting stuck in early doors as well, so that's great. So over to
yeah,
you.
I just think to add to that, like my first week in, my manager sat me down. He's like, right, in fact, actually called me before I started and said, I've already got a project for you. It's really exciting. I know what you're going to be involved with. I've got the team getting together and stuff like that. And so from the get-go, you feel like you're actually doing something worthwhile. You're not getting the teas and coffees. You're actually having to get stuck in and do some work. But it's really nice as well, because they know that you might not know the technology or know how to use it. So I was actually given a lot of, we've all been given a lot of training. We've got cloud courses, Azure, stuff like that, cybersecurity, I think. So you're enrolled in a lot of training to kind of get you up to a certain level, so you're kind of on a par with everyone. But work-wise, I was given lots of training to do on the side as well. But also they gave me kind of practice stories and practice cases or tickets to use. So this week I've started my first real one. But it doesn't feel as scary because I've had the practice ones and I've been able to work on my own with them and then compare them to a member of the team who's actually doing the ticket, and they've gone through with me and helped me like that. So they're really hands-on about learning and encouraging you to learn as well. And my manager's quite good in the fact that I said, I want to do this, or I want to learn Java or something. And he said, yeah, great, set aside some time for it. And he's just happy to see that I'm enjoying my role and wanting to dig deeper into certain areas of it.
Excellent. That's good to hear. And obviously learning is really important, especially as you're building your careers and getting into it. So that's fantastic. And then the question for Rosemary. So now that you're getting settled in, what are some of the things that you're looking forward to coming up in the coming months?
Wow, that's a huge answer for that small question. So many things, to be honest. First of all, meeting people, connections, building up my network, meaning especially that I'm going to the office now that we have to just go to the office, so you end up meeting a lot of people and socialize a lot. and especially learning. Like, as I said before, I don't come from a tech background, so I take the opportunity to learn a lot. Like, the more I learn, like, the more I'm going to be able to contribute to Lloyds. Like, I think that I'm just going to focus on socializing, learning, helping Britain prosper in a certain way as much as possible, kind of. And yeah, to decide what I want to do in my next rotation, basically. So, like, you really go into it and you like so many different places. Then I'm like, oh, I want to be here, but then you see something somewhere else. You're like, oh, that's super cool. I want to be here instead. Then you end up with several options. So I need to narrow down my options now that I'm 2 months through. So yeah, hopefully in a few months I will be able to make up my mind and decide on something. But yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Real. And I'm just going to open up to any of the other guys. Anything you're particularly looking forward to in the coming months?
I think one of the things that I'm looking forward to most is the Christmas party. I think that the grads are having. So as a on the you'll see when you apply for the graduate program, you can be placed in any of the sort of the several locations that you could be placed. I'm placed in Manchester, and there are a couple of grads down in London as well. I saw a couple of them a couple of weeks ago, but the grad party will be the first time we'll see all of us together, and I'm really looking forward to that and get a nice picture together, have some good times, get some good food, get our party on, basically. Looking forward to it.
Cool. Excellent.
To sort of, if I can jump in there, if that's okay, Justin.
Yeah, of course you can, yeah.
I think that's one of the things I think that's actually been really good about the scheme. Like, one thing I'm looking forward to is the fact we've got a lot of things that we've designed that we can hopefully all do it together. A lot of the things we've done, I felt like I've managed to get really good connections with the other graduates. I can genuinely call them all friends. And that's like, unless I wasn't expecting on the school, you're actually able to form quite good connections. So I'm just looking forward to doing a bit more networking, whether it be a bit more informally, like finally meeting everyone at the Christmas party. Can't wait for that. But also just meeting more people, getting a wider structure. Because I think that's what Lloyds has been really good at. I can see all the different opportunities out there. And I can see, ooh, I could go here or there or everywhere. So I'm really looking forward to deciding my next placement, developing networks so I can figure out where that might be. Because Lloyds has been very open about, hey, we want you to help you pursue your interests and go where you're interested. And that's where I really enjoy the placements so far.
That's good. And yeah, it's important, isn't it, to be able to pursue, obviously, your career aspirations and where you want to move forward. So yeah, really good. Just going to post a little reminder if you've got any questions to put those in the chat today, and then we'll get through to those at the end of the session. So that would be good. And then I just want to talk a little bit around the Varsity Code competition as well. So Daniel and Ruffy, and I know you guys have been really, really helpful in getting involved in helping us to put some of our coding challenges together. So yeah, a massive thank you for that. But just why do you think people, our listeners, should get involved in the Varsity Code competition?
I think sort of one of the main things, let's put sort of Lloyds to the side for a second. It's a sort of opportunity for you to sort of build on the skills that you may pick up at university. I did a couple of hackathons in my final year at university, and they sort of helped my applications for the graduate positions I applied for. But it's really that you're working, collaborating with other people in your university, and really just like honing those skills. And it's I mean, there's not really much like else out there that sort of give you the same sort of value for time, I guess, than a hackathon. So I'm staunch advocate for hackathons. So get involved, even if you don't feel like you can do it. Just participating, trying, communicating, messaging in a Discord that Varsity Code have is, it's going to get you noticed. It's going to sort of improve your confidence, and I think that's probably the big reason why you should be getting involved.
Cool. I don't know, Daniel, did you have any additions?
Sort of just going off what Ruffy was saying as well. One of the things you sort of realise, especially like now that I've got into the graduate scheme and I'm working here at Lloyds, is the more you actually enjoy programming and enjoy the process of going through the questions, figuring out like what the problem is, because the questions that we've designed, they tell you what the problem is, and then in a way you can go away and think about, okay, how am I going to solve this? What technologies am I going to use? Like, what sort of packages do I want to use? How do I want to approach this in a way that might be unique, but also thinking about all the different elements that come with problems, like whether or not it's efficient, whether or not you've actually done it in a way which you can use in the future. So like once you start doing these questions, you really realize like, okay, this is what I enjoy, this is what I'm passionate about. Like you get stuck, but the best part about getting stuck is that at one point you are going to figure it out. And so like the more you spend time doing it, the more like you realize that, okay, this is what I want to be doing and this is what I enjoy. And so yeah, like, and also the collaborative aspect of it, like Ruffy said, like once you realize that you get stuck, you can talk to your friends, you can talk to the people who are there to help you. Like I know even between our graduate team, whenever someone gets stuck, we have a Teams place where everyone just drops their questions in and we all solve it for each other. So like just enjoying that aspect is so important. So yeah, and good luck with everyone doing the hackathon and the coding challenges. Yeah, sorry, Ruffy.
Yeah, one last thing. I think, I think Brian always mentions we have these sessions at Lloyds, sort of tech talks that I was myself and Jenny were a part of earlier this week. And I think Brian always rounds it off with "stay curious," and that sort of really, I think that I keep that at my heart, like anyway. And that's, if you want to do a hackathon, you got to stay curious. So that's one of the things. Keep your open mind, and then
Absolutely. Well, I hope people who are taking on the challenge are enjoying them so far. And just a little reminder as well that we have got some prize bundles for both the public and the private competition. So things including like an AI developer kit for our private Lloyds Banking Group League, and a few other bits and pieces in there as well, like insulated coffee mug and a few other bits and bobs. So yeah, take a look and good luck basically. So now I'm just going to open a few questions up to everyone, just a bit of a discussion. So the first one is going to be around the teams that you joined on your first placements. So just to understand a bit more about the team and also what you're working on really. So first off, I thought I'd go, as Serena and Daniel, you're in the same team, maybe go to you guys first.
Yeah, so Serena and I are both we're both in the Centre of Excellence for the software engineering team, and as someone's previously mentioned, the Centre of Excellence is specifically designed. There are three, I think. There's the cloud, the software engineering, and the Devops Centre of Excellences, and all are designed to help improve and bring in sort of like the principles and practices that coding should really have. So for example, in the DevOps team, they're going to be trying to implement DevOps in a really good way here at Lloyds, whereas in the software engineering team, we're trying to bring the software engineering side of things, bring coding up to a particular standard. And so our team in particular, it's split up into 3 different missions. We have an open source mission, which is to try to make Lloyds more open sourced and use and inner sourced at the same time, so that the code can be really split around the whole teams. So for example, say Ruffy develops some really cool product here at Lloyds, and then all of a sudden I'm working on a similar thing. You might not be able to know that the 2 things are linked. Whereas if there's a platform and there's an inner source community here at Lloyds, you can really share that code a lot more quickly and efficiently. So that's what me and Serena have been particularly working on, like really trying to build communities here at Lloyds which work together in a much more cohesive way. Like Serena, what do you think?
You summed that up beautifully. The only thing I'll add is we are on slightly different teams. So my one, I just end up working a little bit more on front-end web development. I'm helping to put together the site that allows engineers to connect together, share projects, share practices, and ultimately just help us connect better. So overall, I've just, absolutely loved my team, love what I'm doing. It's been great having Dan on my team as well. It's been a different perspective to coming in, and I've really enjoyed it. So very happy. I'll pass back over to Justin to see which grad we're going to learn more about next.
Cool. So let's head over to Rosemary to hear about the Cloud Centre of Excellence.
Yeah, so I'm part of Cloud. So basically, it's mainly part of security. So I'm part of security team, which is divided into so many sub teams. I'm part of identity and access management. So basically, what we do is we create identity creations for the new members of Lloyds, and we provision restricted and non-restricted accesses to systems. So basically, it's like purely cloud accesses, like GCP, like Google Cloud and all that. Yeah, that's mainly the team. Like it's part of like cloud does so many things, but mainly it's security. But now, well, I think that I joined Lloyds at the best moment because the project that we're on is a project based on transformation. So basically, we're creating like our own platforms. So which is really cool because we work on a project from scratch. So we're creating 2 new platforms that I'm working on at the moment, which is really like something to be like too nice to work on in the start in a team. Yeah.
Cool, thank you. And on to Ruffy.
So as Daniel, Serena, and Rosie are part of I'm part of one of these Centre of Excellences, and as has been described before, Centre of Excellence is basically a team that sort of dictates how something is run in the company. So I'm part of the Devops Centre of Excellence. So we ensure that the code that is made by our developers is run and is sort of make sure to be running properly in whatever environment it may be in. So when I joined, I was quite lucky, similar to how Daniel and Serena are. There was 3 sort of sub teams, which we are called missions. There was the data mission, there was the inspection mission, and the GitHub mission. I chose to sort of join the data mission, which is sort of aligned with my interests as someone who wants to eventually go into data science and data engineering in my sort of next rotations. And it's quite a relatively new team, which I feel quite lucky because they sort of said, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to learn something completely new that I've never done before. So they asked me to learn Golang, which I've never sort of done. It's a language similar to C++ or Java. And never done it before, and I'm writing a whole web scraper in it. And as Daniel mentioned, he's working on the sort of sharing of code. One sort of instance of that is what I'm writing is very similar to what something he has actually helped write as well. So we're sort of collaborating through the teams. It's awesome. So it shows that these Centre of Excellences are working. So it's great.
Cool. And finally, over to you, Jenny.
Hi, so I work in core platforms in the retail lab, and that's kind of to do with like your everyday banking for the normal person, not like commercial banking or anything like that. We mainly work on fraud and disputes. So if someone's committing fraud against your account, we kind of create the apps that they call all the APIs to like basically sort it in what we call a straight through process. So the aim is when you're a customer and you start an application, you say, I think someone's committing fraud, or I'd like to get a refund for something like an item you didn't get. You would go on your online banking and you go through that. And in the back end, there's an app that takes all your details, and it's to make it a much smoother and quicker process. So you don't have to sit about waiting for days on end or be on the phone for hours on end. You literally give your information, and these things can have a turnaround time of a couple minutes, and you can have your money back. So that's the kind of things we're working with, or working to make, sorry. But it's really cool because like you're actually making a big difference in what you're doing, especially last year during the pandemic. Not that I was working in the team then, but situations like that where they were inundated with claims, and obviously a lot of people couldn't be working in the telephony offices. So a lot of it was online, and really trying to like make sure that you're ready for that and you've built these apps in a resilient enough way that they can take that influx of orders. So yeah, it's really interesting then. So I'm learning a new program as well called Pega, which is like software that builds software. So that's different because it's a very different way of building it from literally typing out a language. So it's really interesting to try and see how that works.
Cool. Nice. Just conscious of time, so we're going to move on to the next question and probably spend a minute or so on this one. So we've already discussed a little bit around learning and development, and yeah, it's really important. We're certainly trying to build like that learning organisation within our group transformation division. So can you just tell us about your personal development opportunities since you joined the group and what you're looking forward to in that space? So I don't know, maybe reach out to Serena maybe to start that, if that's okay.
Oh no, I'd love to start, because as I said, one of the main things I want to learn this is increase my technical competency, because yeah, I'm from a non-comp background. Most things I know is a hobby. I knew I had a lot to learn. What I really liked about what we're offered is a mixture of the taught and self-learned. So the taught courses give you a fundamental understanding, so I felt like I was able to get up to speed with everyone else, but also learn the key things I need to succeed in the role. A lot of things we've been learning, like cloud and DevOps, I really think are very future focused. It's about where the bank is going. So I felt like the skills I'm learning is actually really relevant for my future placements. And I'm also really excited through all the learning we have for self-learning. We have like Precipio, Workday Learning, LinkedIn Learning, plurals. I could list endlessly all the different materials I've had access to and able just to sit and learn. My line manager's been really receptive to the idea of me taking time out for learning. We've had really good discussions about it, and it's meant I've had really good time to sit and learn, not just in courses, but also through self-learning. So I've really had a good opportunity to grow, and my technical knowledge from the start to the end, in just 2 months, I've seen a massive change. So yeah, it's one of the things I'm probably most proud of, and it's one of the things I've most enjoyed. I don't know if anyone else wants to chip in.
I can just only echo you. Oh, sorry, Jenny.
That's right.
It's literally, I think Serena, you've nailed it. Like I was so just sort of surprised at the amount. Like we got given before we started, we got given a sort of an 8-week sort of outline of the boot camps that we were going to do, and it's just that we've been spoiled with how much sort of the resources that we get given as well, and sort of the contrast that Serena sort of as a sort of a computer science background or computer-minded person, I guess. I don't know. I sort of was a little bit worried about sort of, oh no, we're sort of starting a little bit sort of basic, but these first 8 months are sort of to build everyone up to the same level, and you can sort of go and take these self-learning options to sort of really like hone your skills in your spare time. So for example, I'm learning React Native using Pluralsight, and I love it. It's not relevant right now, but hopefully it's going to be useful for my next placement, and it's going to help outside of Lloyds as well. So yeah, one word: spoil. That's spoiled for choice. Excellent. Jenny.
Sorry, Justin, just quick. Sorry. I think as well as technical things, there's a lot of opportunity to develop in other areas. So like I've mentioned to Jo sometime I wanted to take a leadership role in something, and she made note of that, and any opportunity that comes about, she's offered to like offer me first. And it's about really being open about what you want to develop and kind of sitting with yourself and thinking, okay, what can I improve upon myself, and taking the initiative to find out what you want to do. And there are plenty of opportunities. You just need to ask, and that's the thing in any company really, but in Lloyds especially, they're very keen because they will ask you as well. They say, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And you have the choice to say where you want to go. So definitely think about where you'd like to develop, and always take the opportunity to ask for something that you want to do, because there's plenty of availability, time and effort that they will put towards you doing that.
Cool, thank you. I've just noticed we're getting a bit short on time, so I've got one final question before I hand back to Aidan for questions. So was there anything since joining Lloyds Banking Group, I know you're only 8 weeks in, anything that surprised you really? So yeah, again, open. So maybe Ruffy, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, cool. So I think I mentioned this in the chat. Someone asked the question about what I was sort of surprised about, and as I sort of responded, it was the sort of the inclusion and diversity training that we've all had. You know, being a person of color, it's one of those things that I notice on a regular basis. Just an example at my old company that I worked at, I was of 15 people, I was the only person of color. However, now this 15 grads, you know, it's so diverse and it's so lovely to get everyone's sort of points of views, and that is reflected in the company as well. You know, they care. They're not just against racism. They're actively anti-racism, and I think having that sort of nuance is extremely important. And I don't think a lot of other companies don't have the guts to do what Lloyds are doing. So I would say that's definitely one of the things that surprised me. And as I said, we get all these sort of inclusion and diversity training as well. So it's really helpful.
We also there's a lot of like flexibility in your working. So if you want to work from home, if you don't feel comfortable coming into the office, that's absolutely fine. They're very heavy on communication, so like they're open about everything that they do. You feel very comfortable to say, you know what, I'm going to work from home today. No questions asked. No one really cares. Like they're just like, that's fine as long as you're happy and comfortable and doing the best work you can, and that would be where you are happy and comfortable. Then they're absolutely fine with that. So there's a lot of flexibility in where you want to be and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I don't want to sort of, sorry Daniel, but it's just jumping on that point that Jenny made, and I think Joe mentioned earlier as well. You won't be sort of doing the coffee runs. You won't be being a gopher. You know, you are from day one. You are treated like an adult, a part of the team, integral part of the team. And you know, I've had situations where I'm freaking out, like, oh no, about booking a hotel when I go into London. You know, then I'm saying, oh no, freaking out. They're like, just come on, just do it. Get it done. And I'm like, okay, it's me, not sort of, but they trust me to do the right thing, and that's absolutely refreshing. And I think that's important, because I know some other companies may not necessarily do that, but I know Daniel had a point as well.
Yeah, I'd just like to add quickly, one of the things that kind of surprised me was how technical Lloyds was. I think initially coming to the bank, or to really any bank, you don't realize how much technology is going on behind the scenes. And the amount of work, not of work, the amount of different technologies that they're really going to be able to offer you to get involved with. So whether that's front end, back end, data science, artificial intelligence, cloud, this whole sort of data engineering process in general, but then even more subtle technologies which are like up and coming, sort of like distributed systems, like all of that really, you don't see that as a grad, just because when you're like, we're looking through the website, there's only a few aspects which they can really show you and tell you about. But when you really arrive here, you really see that there's a huge amount of opportunity, and your managers really push you to get involved with the things that you love and that you enjoy. So like everyone's been saying, Jenny's been pushed towards Java because she wants to learn Java. Ruffy's been able to go learn Golang, a new language, relatively new language, which he wouldn't have otherwise been able to get experience with. So yeah, it's really great that they really take into consideration what we like. They've been asking us since the beginning about where we want our next placements to be, and to allow us to pick where we want our placements to be so that they can source them. So yeah, that's something that really surprised me. I thought it would be a lot more on rails, and it's been like up to you to go and really do what you enjoy.
Yeah, right, it's so great. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to add something, because Jenny, Ruffy, and Daniel said exactly what I had in mind. But I just want to add on that the environment as Lloyds it's like a very particular environment. I always say it, and I'm going to say it again. Everyone is happy. And this is something that motivates us a lot. Not really, like everyone keeps laughing, but like walking into the office where everyone is very positive and you have everyone that is enjoying their time there, gives you motivation to work. You're being so much more productive, and you feel like you you just have the energy to just go on and you see like a route. You're not like, yeah, I'm here for a year or I'm here for the graduate scheme that I'm doing. No, like I see myself in Lloyds for the next couple of years. And like I think Jost was there for like 25 years. That's a sign, like, yeah, so this is something like I would really like frame and put in a goal that, yeah, the environment at Lloyds is just an amazing environment to be in. You know.
It's so great to hear this, and yeah, thank you so much for sharing. So I'm just conscious of time. I want to make sure that we open up to the questions. So Aidan, are you about? And I'll hand back to you for questions.
I'm right here. Thank you, Justin. Okay, and thank you everyone so much. So we haven't had a lot of questions in the chat, and I think almost all of them have been answered in one way or another. And we're running out of time as well. So what I'm going to do is, I don't really have, well, I think I have one question, but we'll get there in a second. First, what I want to say is I want to say a huge thank you to all of our panelists. I want to say thank you to Justin as well for all his brilliant questions. Brian, who you haven't seen, but he is back there backstage making all of this happen. And Jo, who is really pivotal, her and her entire team and everyone behind the scenes who works on the graduate programs. It's a big thank you from me to you, and I assume for the audience as well. But there's one thing, everyone who's on this panel has already made it. They've survived. There's a bias there, right? Where we got some of the best of the best. So what we will have, of course, is we have people with us tonight, but also later who'll be watching this, who will be starting what's probably, I'm sure, a very daunting journey. So my question to the panel is, what's the best bit of advice or what that you either got or that you'd like to give, or what's the one thing that you wish you'd known going in? I'll throw it first to Jenny, and yeah, words of wisdom.
Oh, where to start? No, I think it's daunting whenever you're applying for a job. I personally hate applying for jobs. That is my worst enemy. But I think the real key thing is if you have a look at their values and how they conduct themselves and really get a feel for who the company is, and not just on their website. So I think Serena was saying a lot of grad schemes, they have a very generic kind of, oh, we do this, we do that, we're the best kind of thing. And it might seem like it's just one of the others, but the further through the process you get, and especially when you start talking to people during your application process, everyone was so nice and so lovely. And I think if you put yourself forward in the most genuine way you can, be eager to learn, eager to ask questions, find out why if things go wrong, you know, if you don't get a technical, be like, why did that happen? Can I have some feedback? And talk to these people and get the most out of it for yourself. But also you'll find out what the company's like in doing so. If the company doesn't give you feedback, probably not a great company. But we had so much feedback, detailed, personalized feedback for every aspect, every step of the journey. And that for me really encouraged me to keep going with it and keep pursuing it, because I thought, wow, they actually care about the candidates that are applying to them. So yeah, that's my piece of advice. As Jo said, be authentic, because we're all coming from different backgrounds and you want to be happy in that workplace. So you need to really be yourself so that they can understand if it's a good fit for them and you can understand if it's a good fit for you. And that's it.
Yeah,
I'd love to. Oh, you go next, Ruffy.
I was gonna just. I think Jenny raised a good point about like just keep going. I think like it's a long process, and just being able to sort of keep going on. I think one of the things that I found worked for me, at least anyway, was I sort of kept making sure I keep doing these alongside university, the extracurricular projects, the coding projects, keep myself sort of turned on, so that when I come to sort of the final stages, I could sort of bring up new things that they might not know yet, and I'll be like, by the way, I did this. But again, ultimately not necessary, because we're Lloyds hire based on strengths, and and that's really I think one of the better ways of hiring. I think that's outlined on the website as well.
I think just. Oh, you go, Rosie. Oh, thanks, Rosie. Well, just to also highlight, Jo's giving wonderful pointers in the chat, so I'll definitely take a read. But the main thing, I had this most incredible mentor when I was at the start of my coding journey and at the end of my final year. And the best thing she told me was just do it. Just give it a go. Don't wait until you think you're ready. Don't wait until you feel like you know everything. Just try, just apply, see how it goes. And I did. And I managed to get to this stage. I managed to land the job here. And it tells you sometimes you're capable of far more than you think you can. Sometimes you just need to give it a shot and just give it a go. And you learn so much about yourself. And it gives you such the confidence boost you need. Even if you don't ultimately get, let's say, every offer, you still learn so much about yourself. And you still end up getting so much experience. So just apply, give it a go, see how it goes. If you like the sound of the scheme, please give us a chance. I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'll pass over to Rosie.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Serena. And I would add on that, like, patience is key. Just be patient and believe in yourself. Don't think that you're not good enough. Don't think that you're not up for it. You'll get trained on everything. If you don't know, you'll know when you go in. I didn't know. I'm learning while I'm in. Don't think like, oh, I didn't do computer science, I didn't do math, I didn't do that, like I can't be a software engineer at Lloyds. That's not true. That's a lie if someone told you that. Just believe that wherever you are, and if you want to be there, you can get there, and Lloyds will help you be there. And as Ruffy said, they value so many skills, and I'm sure they didn't value my technical skills. They valued some other skills for me to be here, and I really admire that, because yeah, that's something that I admire at Lloyds. Like, they value every single aspect in someone's character, skills, communication skills, like all kind of stuff. So yeah, be patient and don't lose motivation. Yeah, that's my tip, I guess.
Just to add to that, just to sum it up, I guess just try to enjoy the process as much as possible, because like while they're testing, while they're seeing whether you're the right fit, you also want to see if you're the right fit for Lloyds or for any other company you apply to. So just make sure that you know your worth, because I know it can be daunting. I know there's going to be times where maybe a few rejections come in, and then all of a sudden you're thinking, wait, like am I right for anywhere? But just know that like you're going to find the right place as long as you keep happy, keep curious, keep excited, keep willing to learn, and just generally enjoy the process. Because honestly, while it was a difficult process, nothing good comes easy. Nothing worth having comes easy. So yeah, just enjoy it.
Thank you so much, everyone. You've done. You've been amazing. I would say we didn't pay them to say this, but we absolutely do pay them because they're great. And hopefully, if you're listening to this, we might pay you too one day. What we really want to do is, before we say good night, is just remind you that we have a number of ways you can stay in touch with us. We have our social channels. I know you're dying to friend us on Facebook, but you can if you want to. Mainly, though, we're live on the Discord server. Myself, Justin, a few other engineers. We have one of our data science team joining us, and of course, a number of our grads to share more about their experiences with you, or get into specific details if you have any questions. We can even try and arrange some one-on-one chats if there's something that you can't discuss publicly, or it's too long. Also, we have lots of meetups and events that we do publicly. Most of these, we have lots of events across the group, but technology-focused events. And you can find on Meetup these events that you can come along, learn about technologies, see people who are already in their careers from lots of different organizations, not just us. And specifically for you, the Varsity Code participants, we have another webinar coming up. This one's going to be more technically focused, and it's going to be around Python and the rise of machine learning. There is an enormous, vast sea of technology in the group, as a couple of them have pointed out. And if we do our jobs right, most of our customers never see it. So you may not know it's there, but I can guarantee you it is. So hopefully you'll join us for that. That's all I have time for. I'm breathless and super impressed with everyone. Thank you so much to our panelists and to everyone listening at home or watching in the future. It's kind of cool. So I'm going to awkwardly clap in this room by myself for the panelists, and I want them to clap for themselves as well. Thank you, guys. Okay, that was much more awkward than I expected. All right, that's me. Thank you again, Justin. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, everyone. Be curious.